it's time to panic, right? And let's talk about why.
Okay, let's talk about why.
So this is for thumbnail purposes and for clickbait. Now's the time to panic. But it is.
Wow.
No, really. It's not. You know what? I'm going to talk about this later. Not on this episode, but about panic. When there's a time to panic, at the same time, don't panic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, to act with urgency is probably the better choice.
Yeah.
Yes, because panic means fear, and whenever you do anything in panic, things go horribly wrong.
But we need the alarm.
Yes, we need the alert system. We need the alert system.
Going off right now.
Yeah.
For good reason.
Yes.
And when I say alarm, maybe literal, but in everybody's minds. Everybody needs to be prepared and start taking these things serious. What we're going to talk about right now. Take these things seriously. Right? The alarm in your head should be going off.
Yeah, because by the time we take it seriously, if we wait too long, then it's going to be already too late.
And, okay, so we're talking borders. We're talking the southern border specifically, but we'll jump around a little bit, right?
Borders and boundaries.
This year, in 2023, we're now just got into October.
Yeah.
But recently, the last few months, last couple months, people's alarms are now going off.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
All over the place.
People are waking up.
All across the media.
But here's the thing.
Too, as well.
It should have been woken up, your mind, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what took so long.
Everyone's slow on the uptake, I guess.
And that's what I'm saying. Look for the signs. Look for the signs and get,
Yeah, get informed, get involved, I guess you would
and get
say.
informed in the right places.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it. Don't listen to the media.
Yeah,
I mean, there's almost no news outlet you can trust.
Yeah.
None.
I know.
And where can you get your sources? There are places you can get your sources, but you have to tread carefully. Find out where that is. I'm not gonna mention them on here.
Yeah, use discernment, you guys.
Pray about it.
Read your Bible.
And here's the thing. If you know, I'm speaking to the audience right now. If you know, and you,
okay,
whoever's
nice.
listening,
that's nice to know. Yeah.
If the kids are listening on the other side of the door, this is for everybody. If you know anybody that you have gotten information from before, whether you asked it or they gave it to you, and history tells you they have been right often about things in the past, and you're just now getting wind of it or jumping on the train.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe trust that person and say, okay, hey, it's time for me to ask you, where are you getting your information? And then maybe dig there.
Yeah.
Start there.
Yeah.
Google, don't just Google something. Google lies to you half the time.
As I always say, is do your research, and that doesn't mean just like a quick scan. You dig and you find and you seek. It's all about seeking. We're supposed to be seekers.
Don't just read a headline. Don't just Google something and the first thing that pops up.
Yeah.
Look into it a little bit more. I mean, Google's always changed. Not Google, dictionaries, online dictionaries.
They actually are changing their definitions.
Changing definitions
from the old ones to newer, more modern.
They're adjusting it to what they want to tell you, what they want you to believe. Even definitions are being changed.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So
I would say
serious.
look to older ones.
Anyway.
But yeah.
It's time to panic, right? And let's talk about why.
Okay, let's talk about why.
Let's talk about why.
So we're talking the southern border, right? Boundaries, those kinds of things. The importance of having boundaries aren't just for the people that are, I guess, on one side, but on both sides of the boundaries, right? It's all included with like the people that are trying to come over and the people that are here already. You know what I mean?
Okay, let me give you an example.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about the United States.
Yeah.
Citizens within that you're trying to protect, and the ones that are crossing. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say on a a homeowner has the right to protect themselves, and they have a firearm. Somebody in the middle of the night breaks in. Bad things are going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Are likely to happen, right? So why do I not want you to break in my house in the middle of the night? Well, for one, my family's safety. Two, your safety. I don't want to harm you. But you're coming in uninvited
Yeah.
when I am vulnerable,
Yes.
and things happen,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I guess you can look at it that way with the border crossings.
Yep.
This is to protect the citizens
Yep.
and those who are crossing.
Yep.
We care about both sides.
Yeah. There's
Right?
a reason. Yes, there's a reason behind that. I mean, there's a reason for boundaries. Why did we put the borders or the boundaries up in the first place? What was the purpose behind them? It was to protect the people, all the people, from whatever could, comes their way. You know what I mean?
And a border is not a border. Just people get this clear. A border is not a border. If it is opened,
Yes.
then it is no longer a border. If you have a wall going all the way across, I don't know how many miles, I forget how many miles it is, across the United States and the Mexico border. But you have a wide open door with no lock and no vetting.
Oh, yeah.
And you just
Or
say-
little vetting. Yeah.
and it's just come along,
Yes.
right? Then it's not a border.
Yeah.
We got walls all the way around our house, but if the door is off its hinges and left off and no one monitoring it, then it has no
Well,
point.
because I think sometimes we get caught up in this sense of false sense of security. Honestly, I think what we tend to do is we're like, oh, all these people have great intentions, and you want to think what's best for those people, that the best of those people. But honestly, if you actually look at the statistics, there are a lot of people that are coming in that have not been vetted correctly, or might be, offenders. They might be, they might be a part of the cartel. I mean, the trafficking. I mean, there's so much. And so just to assume that all of them are great, and that seems kind of foolhardy.
And you
to
are
me.
not racist for saying that. When you say that, it's just a fact. Not all 100% are good people.
Just like in our borders.
Just like within the United States. Take the borders out of the conversation for a second. In the United States, can you really believe that 100% of all people do know bad?
Do know evil?
Do know evil.
Yeah.
Then what's the point of prisons?
Yeah.
How did they get there?
Yeah.
Well, obviously they did something at some point. And that just goes across the board. All people
Yeah.
are like that.
There's a reason.
Now,
Why do we have law enforcement if there's not people that we need
Yeah.
to, we're trying to protect the innocent and the vulnerable. And sometimes letting people that come over that aren't vetted, they're hurting our children. They're hurting their children. I mean, or the children. And so it's difficult because you have to make these tough choices. The solutions are complex, honestly, when it comes to this kind of stuff. But I just really wish that there was more of easier paths to legal.
a system in place.
Yeah, because a lot of these people, honestly, you guys, don't really want to just. I think they don't all want to cross over. Some of them, they love their family. They want to stay and they want to be in their culture and all of that. And
Oh, we're constantly inviting, but we've heard so many stories that people from other countries
yes,
don't want to leave their country.
No, they like it.
They
there.
actually, we can go. There's so many areas we can go with this.
Yeah.
With abortion, with drug abuse and whatnot. Well, like say drug abuse, for instance, you don't fix the problem by giving them safe areas to do the drugs. How about just keep them from doing the drugs? You know what I mean? And same thing with this. There are many that don't want to leave their country, but because instead of us trying to help on the other side of the borders to help them there, we're just saying, hey, come over here.
Okay, so I'm going to push back real quick on that whole real comment that you just said, because I think I slightly disagree with that. So I would say when it comes to drugs, even taking them away is not going to solve the problem, because they're going to find it somehow, some way, some shape or form.
Well, I didn't mean take it away. Did I say that?
Yeah, you did. I would say that we
Take it away here.
We need to, and it's not really a drug problem, you guys. It's not really it's a heart problem. it's a mental problem. It's whatever it is. It's an issue that, guess what? There's a lot of these people that don't know Jesus.
And that's what I meant. Sometimes I have a poor choice of words. What I do mean is I agree with you. Take away not the drug itself. Take away the want to do the drug.
Yeah.
Like what is the replacement?
The reason, the excuse,
well, God,
the reason for the drug.
God
that,
is
yes. The ultimate replacement.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing.
And God is not the replacement. In fact, the drug is the replacement.
For God
is
that's
the primary.
True. Yeah.
So anyway, what was I saying? That they don't want to leave their country.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're helping in the wrong way. And in fact, when they come over here, you're like, well, just come on over. But when they get here, do you know how many cannot make a living?
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's what's going on. How many are crossing recently?
Oh,
by the thousands.
Hundreds of thousands, yes.
Per day.
Yes.
Per day. Into one state. Into one state. So I'm just going to say it. States of the United States, states that claim to be sanctuary cities, who say, we welcome them. We would want them here. Right?
Yeah.
The state they're going into is a non-sanctuary city or state. So what happens is you got hundreds of thousands. I don't know the exact number, but it's been millions in the last couple of years. Millions have crossed, right? How can one state or a city support that many people? So what happens is the governors from that state are sending the immigrants
yes
to sanctuary cities and states where they're supposedly welcomed.
Sanctuary.
Welcomed. So when they send them there, they are not welcomed. So what was it, a year ago? About a year ago, I said hundreds of thousands, right? 40. When I say 40, I mean 40 were sent to Martha's Vineyard, one of the most richest cities in the country.
Yep.
And they didn't want them.
Yeah.
They're like, we can't support them. Like, what are you talking about? You're the richest, and this is only 40. So what does that really say about you? Now they're sending them to New York.
And New York can't handle it either.
New York says, we want them. They send, what, a couple hundred?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, now it's more than a couple hundred.
Oh, yes, I know, yeah.
But, I mean, like at a time. So say there's 1,000 in New York within a month's time. They freak out.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we don't want them. Right? But you're a sanctuary city. You got hundreds of thousands going to this other place. Why should you expect them to be supported? So basically what I'm saying is they're coming into a non-healthy situation.
Yeah.
So, hey, let everybody slow down. Slow down. Let's vet them. Let's get back to the real reason they're coming over. Because I think it was, for whatever reasons. And let's do this correctly.
Yeah.
Because where we stand, it's not like we don't want them.
No.
They're humans.
Yes.
Just like
They're
us.
souls that need love.
They have no color. They have no color. They're humans to us. But let's find out which ones really want to come over and need the help. Prioritize them.
Prioritize, yeah.
Let's do this in the right order.
Yeah.
Who need it the most, and let's put them in line.
I would just think that and that would be awesome, because there are people that are being persecuted in other countries. Another thing that I would say is, as you said, like that. Well, it's not, and it's kind of funny that you said no color, because a lot of these people that are coming over are not even from Mexico. They're from other countries, and other countries that that are not. That initially what they, and so you've got other people coming over the border. So you don't know who's coming, and who knows if some of those are from dangerous countries that would not, and so you have to think about that as well. And I think it's so hard because we do care and we do love them. And that's the struggle, I think, is how do we do that? Well, one of the ways is to maybe, figure out how to help them in their own country at some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, and not only that, but if they do want to become citizens, it can be very difficult, which is kind of ironic. You would think we would try to make it I mean, still do plenty of vetting, but make it easier for them to come over. And so they don't come over, because what happens is when you get people coming over and they're breaking the law by coming over the boundaries, they're in this, like you said, they're in this like cycle of doing criminal activities, because they're, they're there, and then they can't, some of them can't get decent jobs, and it just cripples them.
And let's give a lot of them,
let's
give a lot of them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the ones crossing over.
Yeah.
Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say, they're not here to do harm.
Yeah.
And they are good people.
Mm-hmm.
But when you, just like if we were starving,
mm-hmm.
if there was like a blackout, like
mm-hmm.
no electricity, or
mm-hmm.
something went down,
mm-hmm.
no food at the stores,
mm-hmm.
it doesn't take long for people to panic and
Yeah.
people to start turning on each other,
mm-hmm.
because we're made to survive.
Yeah.
It's in our instinct, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's in our DNA. So let's say they come over,
mm-hmm.
and they mean good.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're flocking over by the millions
Mm-hmm.
per year,
mm-hmm.
and we cannot sustain that, we cannot
social
support
services
them,
can't,
right?
yes, they can't keep up with it.
They are going to live in low poverty.
Yes.
They're going to live on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference from where they came from?
Mm-hmm.
What are they going to do? Turn
Mm-hmm.
to survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
And now they are going to rob, they are going to do what they need to do to survive,
mm-hmm.
when they didn't initially intend to.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of making it worse. This is an ugly cycle.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, and a lot of the people that are, suffering from that are the people of their own ethnicity. Many times when, like for the Hispanic community, a lot of them are struggling, because then you have more of these people coming in that, and the source services can't be, there's not enough. And then the ones that were already here, now their resources are getting drained.
And you thought you had a problem with inflation? Well, our social system is supporting them now. Well, what does that mean for everybody else?
Yeah,
citizens
here legally.
Taxes
mm-hmm.
are going to go up. Poverty is going to increase.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know what I mean? It affects everybody.
Yeah.
So is that love to let them just pour over?
Mm-hmm.
Is that love when you're putting them in another bad situation?
Mm-hmm.
There are so many hypocrites out there. So many hypocrites that
mm-hmm.
say they're for one thing, and then when they're presented with it, they run from it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They show
mm-hmm.
their true colors.
Mm-hmm.
So is it like homeless?
Mm-hmm.
When you see homeless people, I know so many people that are like, don't shut down the homeless camps.
Mm-hmm.
Leave them open,
mm-hmm.
care for them,
mm-hmm.
or I mean, allow them to live in these
mm-hmm.
homeless camps,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
To me, that is not love.
Mm-hmm.
How about let's get them out of that situation
Yeah.
and get them cleaned up and into jobs,
mm-hmm.
get them into society,
mm-hmm.
not
Yeah.
allow the camps to stay open.
Well,
Same with the drugs. You make in a safe drug sites
mm-hmm.
where they can use cleanly.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many areas that is not love,
mm-hmm.
by allowing them to stay in that state,
mm-hmm.
not state in the United States, but that state
Yeah.
of mind.
And I think it's, we have to be thoughtful about how we approach that. But yes, I think we need to step in there and not just offer easy solutions, like throw money at them. You know what I mean? It doesn't work. If that was the case, because people do, they do make money, they do panhandle and that kind of stuff. Honestly, a lot of it, I think, is we should really be, as we see those people, we should look at them as souls, that need Jesus, and also follow God's calling and conviction on our hearts and how we should go and reach out to those people, or anybody, honestly, that is struggling, whether you're homeless, whether you're going through, issues in a really bad relationship. There's multiple things all across the board. And it seems like, honestly, like we've gotten lazy, period. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing. Now, a lot of, and not to stereotype, but a lot of these people that are coming over, they want to live well. They want to succeed. They work
but we're not giving them
so
the chance.
hard, and they work so hard. And that's also like, so people really respect people that are hard workers, right? The problem is, in America, we should be working hard too. And so I think that's another thing. We need to really get in the mode for like hard working.
You know what I hear from those who have come across the border?
Mm-hmm.
I know some.
Yeah.
I know I've known plenty.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear this from a lot of them. They say Americans are lazy.
Mm-hmm.
And that is true.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad to have to hear it from them.
Yeah. Yeah. They
Like-
have a great perspective because they're coming in and they're like, well, we want to live and we want to work and survive. We need more of a mindset of, work, because, and like the Bible says to, the joy of your hands, the work of your hands, and we're supposed to work as unto the Lord. So when we're being lazy, how is that helping anybody? You know what I mean?
Yeah, lazy by, like, so when you say that, I picture the homeless at the corner
Yeah.
of the street, panhandling for money, right? A lot of them are doing it for, they could be,
It's hard.
I've caught so many who are doing that, and then I see them time and time and time again there, and I catch them walking over at the end of their shift and getting in a vehicle and collecting the money that they had stashed for the day. That day, collecting it. Okay, are they all like that? No.
No.
Some do need help, right? But that's the point. They need help. And by rolling your window down and squeezing out a dollar bill to them is not help. All you're doing is keeping them there.
Again, I will say though, sometimes we feel called to do that, and that's if God is telling you to give them
I'm just
money.
saying in most situations.
Discernment, it's always important to use discernment on that. And I don't hold anyone like, oh, I can't believe you just gave that person money. I don't see it that way, but I think a lot of them do it because they care.
Yeah, I want to be careful. I don't mean
So I
don't
would-
do that. I care for the homeless, but I care for everybody. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And just, I guess what I'm trying to say is really think: are you helping the situation, or how can you help?
Yeah. And here's the thing. Honestly, you guys, it's a lot easier just to hand money, and it's a lot easier to just resort to like, okay, well, if I give you this or we give you that, than actually solving the problem. I think it's almost like it's because we know that if we we don't want to put ourselves in that position, because that's giving up a lot, to really go and become a friend to that person and all that kind of stuff. Also, you have to worry about safety and security. That's also really important when you approach anyone. So just a heads up, you guys. But I would say that sometimes it's just a lack of involvement. That we are afraid to do that. We're afraid to do that. And I think that if some of these people that are in, honestly, politics across the board will get more involved with maybe solving this, like personally, as well as just giving policies, then it would be a lot better.
What do all or most politicians do in these situations?
Yeah.
They just throw more money out there.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
take more, throw more, take
Yeah.
more, throw more.
And you wonder about the motivation there. And so, and I will say,
Or let's say this: take more, pocket some, throw more. Take some, pocket it, throw more.
so just to kind of give a rundown, one of the reasons why we kind of wanted to talk about the border as well, is because child abuse, child human trafficking isn't happening at a horrible rate. It's like one of the biggest. And it's not just coming through the border, though. It's also in our boundaries as well. And in fact, it's very, very bad. It says that there are, like right now, it says that there are more than 365,000 missing children in our country each year. And 30% of those missing people or missing children, 109,000, are being trafficked. It is frightening. And these children that are coming over the border, they're coming with people that are not their parents. They're coming with people that are using them and then putting them into a life of slavery, honestly.
And that's another reason to vet when they come across. Vet them. Find out who it is. Who's
And
really
also,
coming over.
And also now they're in these conditions, these children, that when they are trying to vet them and hold them over until they can actually establish some good information, now they're in horrible, deplorable conditions because there's such an influx. So these children are suffering because honestly, these people are sending them over the border, and now they're suffering in these conditions because we just don't have enough resources to love on them like they should be loved, honestly.
And is that really caring?
Yeah.
Is that loving?
That's why I think
allow
we
that?
should get more involved in the actual country rather than just, oh, let's come over here when we have so many of our own issues and can actually cause them more suffering, which is so horrible. And, so, I mean.
So some people are going to listen to what we're saying, and they're just going to hear it one way. You guys are not caring. You're not loving. Or you're biased or racist. No. If that's all you hear, then I'm sorry, I can't help you. I can't help you. But there are going to be some people who hear what we're trying to say. Again, I'm sure most of those crossing have good intentions. So let's say, again, take the borders out of the equation here and just talk about the citizens within the United States. I said there are people who do evil.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So let's say 1 out of every 100 citizens here does some act of evil or something to get them in prison or, something.
Yeah.
Right? 1 in every 100.
Yeah.
Okay, so be it. 1 out of every 100. If I just said millions are crossing, let's just say 1 million of those 5 million who have crossed already in the last few years. 1 million. Let's take that same percentage. Was it 1%? What's 1% of a million?
Yeah, it's a lot.
100,000? No, that's 10%.
Well, there's a
10,000?
lot. It's still a lot. That's
I'm not going to do the math right now. It's a lot. Right? It's a lot.
Yeah.
Times that by 5. Because we're looking at about 5 million now.
Yeah.
Since somebody was in office. 5 million.
Yeah, there's still a lot in the previous one too, though.
And a lot of them are not accounted for.
Yeah.
So
it's hard because you don't know. Oh yeah, I was just reading something. They were talking about how there's like 86,000 children that are not accounted for right now in the crossing of the borders. 87,000. It was insane. I was like, oh wow.
What if that was your child?
Oh my
Your
goodness.
child.
Yeah.
Some of these things, we become so desensitized to it. We don't think about it. We just think about our own, happy little lives. And as long as our family's okay. Well, and until it affects, like I said, when they go to certain cities, these people crossing go to certain cities who supposedly were going to welcome them. And now they say they don't want them. Show their true colors, right? Well, because it's affecting them now. Now they see it. As long as it's happening over there, they're okay with
the
it.
gated communities.
Right? Yes.
I know.
You're against firearms, but you have someone protecting you with the firearm. You're against borders, but you have borders around your house that no one can penetrate. Whatever. Hypocrites. So anyway, my point is...
We all can be a little hypocritical, just to throw that out there, Robert Rocha.
Well...
But
yeah,
yes.
I lost track of what I was saying.
Yeah,
but
you did.
anyway.
But yes, it's hard. And I think for me, it's just the pain of thinking of these children that are going through that situation is so horrible. And honestly,
that's what I was going to say.
Yes.
When it happens to them,
it makes it even more
then they start thinking about it.
impactful.
Well, you just said what, 83,000?
86, I think.
86,000?
Something like that, yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, unaccounted for. I don't know if it's across the border or if it's in general, but I know it's a lot. So, and that's the thing is all these children and here's the thing, if they were vetted properly, these children at least would have a fighting chance to come into America and live and all of that and succeed. But because they don't do that, because they're in a rush to get them over, whatever reason that is, for whatever reason, these children are suffering. And it's just disgusting, honestly. It's just disgusting. I mean, of course, whenever I think of kids, because I think of my own kids, and I'm like more conscious now of everything, media wise, everything, because I feel like, they're attacking our children. It's not just this, it's not just that, it's policies that are being put in place. It's the lack of care and like the end motivation for it all that frustrates me. It's like, you don't even care. You can say you care about this life, and yet you are like not supporting them in any way.
It's evil.
That's harmful. And I think, of course, I know people personally that have been human trafficked. It is awful and dehumanizing. And yet we just let this continue, like, just by allowing these policies to come through and neglecting our children that are, these children. And so anyway, this is a tough topic, and we haven't even touched on the drug trafficking bit, and I have a lot more on that.
No,
but
we'll leave it there.
Yeah, it's, and here's the thing, I'm gonna, I guess we'll see, here's the thing. God's the same. He actually is cool with boundaries, and he's cool with borders. There's a reason for that. I was just reading in Nehemiah not that long ago, and they were actually putting up a wall around Jerusalem for a reason. The enemies didn't like it. The enemies were laughing and mocking them, because when you have boundaries up, when you have walls up, it's a sign of strength, right? It's a sign people can't just come in and attack and hurt the people that you care about. There is a reason for that. And God was big on that. He wanted boundaries. He also accepted foreigners as well, just like naturalization, like citizenship, which I love that idea as well. But he did have boundaries for a reason. There was a reason to protect the precious lives inside from outliers. And so during the Nehemiah thing, people were coming to try to tear down the walls, or when they were trying to build up these walls, the enemies were trying to attack them. So they would take a sword in one hand and honestly, like whatever tool they were to build. So I'm thinking like, a hammer
with the other
or
hand.
something. And they would fight on one hand and they would build on the other, because here it was. They were protecting the temple. They were protecting Jerusalem, the holy city. Guess what, guys? We are now, if you believe in Christ and he's in you, we are the temple. We are to protect our children, everyone that we can come in contact with. That's what we're supposed to do, and do it the right way where it doesn't actually hurt them in the long term. You know what I mean? So, because we got to think the end game, the long term, the long game, right? They call it, instead of just these short-term fixes that don't really fix anything, but actually end up turning it into a much more broken system. So.
Yeah. So, we just need to step back, slow down, and
reevaluate and try to come up with some better solutions than what we've been doing. Yes.
You know what I mean? Put a hold on the border, and let's say, okay, let's get a real system in place, and let's do it the right way.
Don't act on emotion and feeling, because they're irrational, and actually in many of our feelings are rational. I'm not saying all, but there is a lot, especially when we act hastily. And so the Bible warns about that in Proverbs, and it talks about don't act in passion. In like this passion that makes you reckless and foolish and make stupid mistakes. We have to deliberate. We have to figure it out, and not just be like, okay, let's just let them all in because we love them. Yes, we love them. But sometimes, just like with children, and just like what God does with us, he puts boundaries up so that when they'll understand and they won't get hurt a lot worse later on.
So facts over feelings.
Yes.
Reasoning over feelings.
Yes.
Because our feelings, we
are
rely
fickle.
we rely on our feelings, and dumb things happen.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, well, we'll get out of here.
I have one verse that I would like to tackle.
So I was going to ask
ahead.
You want to talk about, or you want to
No,
use
just
it
do for it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So anyway, sorry we had to be so serious on this one.
I've been hearing too many stories on all across the aisle. People are not happy with what's going on.
Sometimes we got to get these episodes out of the way. So we'll bring you a fun one next week. Semi-fun.
Well, I guess.
We're going to be, we might be somewhat serious, more or less.
Why do you make predictions? Out. We don't know what we're going to do.
Here on out. No, because there's so much going on, so much that needs to be covered.
Yeah.
But we will do our best to bring you some humor and laughter.
Yeah.
And anyway, so let's get out of here. And we'll get out of here with our famous words of wisdom.
So this verse kind of talks about what God kind of sees we need to do as well. So Numbers 32:17 says, "But we will arm ourselves for battle and go ahead of the Israelites until we have brought them to their place. Meanwhile, our women and children will live in fortified cities for protection from the inhabitants of the land." Thanks for watching. If you like this show, hit that free subscribe button and share this video. We are on Facebook and Instagram. Also, check out our full-length podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. The links are provided in the description below. Thank you.